Greater Good Radio. Connect, learn, heal, and grow.
You and I have had these conversations for years around the lack of connectivity, the lack of seamless resourcing, right? Leveraging of resources. So just to say that that's all part of that perfect storm, that when you're asked to get up off that couch, to get back out there, plan that next event or that next service deliverable, you're just a little less resilient than you were the first time. Your adrenaline has stopped running and you're just depleted. Yeah. And we don't have the resources in our sector to actually take care and address and identify when that's happening for people. And so we're just starting to see vulnerabilities. It's really hard to put my finger on it, but it feels like a collective, like hands up in the air, like I give up, kind of. I'm still doing this work. My mind's a little bit shut off. I'm kind of adroitly getting through it, but I'm not healthy.
Two things that reminds me of, which is on the piece of that the pandemic, the testing and stuff is over, but it's not necessarily over. It's like a second wave almost. That reminds me of like when people are surfing really big waves, they're doing tow-in and they're surfing huge waves, 40, 50, 60 foot waves. And for safety now, they have these vests that if you can reach it, you pull it. You pull the cord and it inflates and it pops you back up. That's the first wave you get pounded on, right? The second and third are the ones that really total you because you now cannot dive under at all. You just get rocked, right? And that is why I thought, wow, if you had another one, we would get totaled, we would get blasted. But the other thing is that, I'm 50. I just turned 50 last year. And a good chunk of my friends that are in the first responders, fire, police, and so on, they're retiring. And I remember long before I was like, oh, why are you going to do that? You could go into business or this and so on. And I was like, wow, they're retiring now. They'll probably live pretty long because, we tend to live longer now. And I mentioned that to my friend. I said, look at these guys. They're all retiring. They have, their pension. They don't pay health insurance. If they want, they could work again, but they really don't have to. And he said, yeah. But did you take into account what they had to go through?
Right.
For fire and police and so on. Did you take into account those 25 years or so on?
And they've been in heightened states
to go to
all their career, right?
And I went, oh. So you figure it's, longer years than that condensed into that period of time because it's so intense. Where I looked at, especially during this pandemic, the first responders, they don't have any break. That's healthcare and so on, right? But then what about the social first responders, like the nonprofits or the teachers?
Teachers, yeah.
Or absolutely. HR in your organization. They have had zero break.
Right.
And to me, when I look at that collective amount of stress, I think people are trying to hold it together and put on the face. But because a lot of us have not figured out how to properly re-engage as a group, it's super hard. Because if you couldn't figure that out before, and maybe that's not your thing, you don't know how to engage and connect with people in a social way that you can co-regulate with them and so on. Coming out of this is way harder. If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.